and welcome to ELOSOFUMARTAKES. This is our 94th take live from Euless, Texas. I'm your host, as always, Barry Duplessis, and I'm so pleased, so privileged, and so proud to be with you tonight, and so unexpected, because today is October 20th, and yes, believe it or not, it is the due date of my second child. He was supposed to arrive today, and actually he's got some time left, so I suppose it's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, it is called the miracle of life after all. So without further ado, I do want to hurry, I guess, and get this going, because if that is going to take place, we definitely probably need to wrap this up. But before we get started, we do have to thank the many people that make this show possible, and that, of course, is our sponsors. And this show is, of course, sponsored by Drew Estate. Drew Estate unveiled earlier this week the national release of Pappy Van Winkle's Family Reserve barrel fermented cigars exclusively to brick and mortar Drew Diplomat retailers. Until now, the barrel fermented has been sold exclusively through Pappy and Company at pappyco.com, owned and operated by the infamous Van Winkle family. The Pappy Van Winkle barrel fermented cigar is a long filler premium cigar rolled in limited quantities at Drew Estate in Esteli, Nicaragua. Deep barrel fermentation is the key process that makes this expression vastly different from anything else on the market. Hand-selected leaves from the Kentucky are packed into small torquettes or bundles of tobacco, which are then loaded strategically into oak bourbon barrels. Water is then added while immense pressure is applied to these tobacco via railroad jacks. The tobacco is removed 2 to 3 times per year, shaken out, then repacked. The total process of fermentation takes 12 to 18 months, leaving a truly unique flavor and profile. This historic cigar features a barrel fermentation and Tapa Negra wrapper over Mexican San Andreas base wrapper, as well as aged Nicaraguan fillers. So check out your Drew Diplomat retailer for a Pappy Van Winkle barrel fermented cigar today. And if you guys are watching us on Facebook Live, we really appreciate everyone for tuning in. But if you're catching us later, if you're listening to wherever you listen to podcasts, you're listening to us exclusively because of Cornelius and Anthony Premium Cigars. Cornelius and Anthony Premium Cigars is steeped in tobacco tradition. For over 150 years, the Bailey family has been part of America's tobacco heritage, passionately caring for the land they cultivate in Keysville, Virginia. Cornelius and Anthony's devotion to the finest grown tobacco and foremost aspects of craftsmanship allows them to introduce the most exquisite cigars to the market. They invite you to enjoy their portfolio of premium hand-rolled cigars and experience their dedication to producing an exceptional product. So if you are listening later on, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, you're listening to us exclusively because of Cornelius and Anthony Premium Cigars. Welcome, everyone, to Take 94, my son's due date. No, I'm not the world's worst father. My wife's in the other room. And she gracefully and graciously said, go do your show. It's showtime. So here I am, and I'm so proud and pleased and privileged to welcome in my guest this evening. It's going to be a fantastic show. There is no other way to introduce this man other than former National Cigar Smoking Champion, man about town, cigar industry savant, Mr. Jason Lois. Jason, how are you doing tonight?
Barry, I don't know if I can live up to all of that introduction, but I do greatly appreciate you having me on again and rapping with you. It's a pleasure. And I just want to say that a lot of people have the same feeling about about you and about what you do. And it's like this childlike exuberance when you are on screen doing your thing. You are just so excited to just bring the people, whomever you're talking to, whether it's a cigar manufacturer, whether it's, myself, whoever it is, you love what you do, and I love you for it. And I think it's just amazing, and I love hearing you when I'm listening to the podcast, whether it's you or if it's Coop and you or whatever. But I thoroughly enjoy it.
I appreciate, man. That is humbling beyond words, man. This is a lot of fun, man. It's kind of interesting because my wife and I were talking about this the other day, and I've talked about it with some friends, and they're like, well, like, how many jobs do you have? And I'm like, well, technically I have 3, but I I host podcasts about cigars. I sell cigars, and then I, actually pay the mortgage with my day job. And but I was like, man, I'm really blessed because I get to talk to some fantastic people like you. And I mean, does it really work when you're doing what you love? I mean, that's the mantra, right? That's the philosophy.
Yeah, if you wake up every day and you're doing what you love, you've never worked a day in your life. I still put in some hard work, but I do love what we do. So, and I love this industry, and I love the people in this industry. I mean, there's so many great characters in this industry. It's unlike any other industry that I've ever known of, because it is a very large industry, but at the same time, it's a very small and a very interwoven industry. Families and friends that do business together, do life together, and are very passionate about this one thing that we're both enjoying tonight. So, Bear, why don't you tell us about what you're enjoying this evening?
Well, I am smoking. You wanted to smoke something. We were talking about this earlier today. We were texting back and forth, and you were saying like, "Oh, well, I was gonna smoke something special," and I was like, "Yeah, man, I've got some age because everyone who watches the show and knows that I'm a big aging nerd, and so I was like, man, I've got some cigars that are kind of due up that I'm really excited about." And so you're like, "Okay, well, get back to me." So I went through my catalog, my spreadsheet, because I'm a huge nerd, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I found the cigar." So at 4.5 years old, I am smoking the La Flor Dominicana, the 1994, the commemorative Stein edition. So this is the cigar that came in the commemorative Stein, actually. So I got this in January of 2015, and just lit it up, man. And it's man, I tell you, the pre-light smelled so rich and fantastic. There was beautiful leather and coffee and rich chocolate. I mean, I was like, oh man. And surprisingly, the cello wasn't very filmy. There wasn't much coloration to it, which was interesting considering the darker nature of the wrapper. But was really, really, really excited to light it up, man. It's first couple puffs in, it's hitting me. It's good.
Well, with that color commentary of that cigar, I'm sure John Carney is really pleased to hear you say all those delightful things about that cigar.
Carney knows I love him too much, so man, it's kind of just become expectation, I think, at this point. It's like, oh, is Bear talking about LFD again? All right. So, but what are you smoking tonight?
Uh, just pulled out the Opus Perfection 888, um, and it's smoking just super fantastic right now. I mean, everything that you can come to expect from Opus, just very clean, elegant, just very complex cigar. I love Opus, regardless if it's this particular cigar or if it's the Angel Share or the Forbidden. There's just so many that they've come out with over the years, and a lot of people in the industry have actually gifted me several of these over the past couple of years. So been fortunate for that, and I really enjoy this cigar, and for Carlito to produce something that everybody told him that he couldn't, by producing wrapper leaf in the Dominican, and then to basically shoo away all the naysayers and come out with a product like this. It's fantastic. Fantastic. Everything that you've come to know for Opus is just all in one right here. So enjoying it.
I think that that's one of the things about this industry that I love is that there's so many examples of that. That's probably the most infamous, but
Yeah.
there's so many examples of the, like, you can't do that. And okay. And Lito's another example of that. I'm smoking an LFD, right? So, I mean, Ligero it was discarded, back in the day. It was considered trash. It was considered too strong, too harsh. Like, you couldn't use Ligero, and now no one makes a cigar without it.
Right.
We were talking about the coloration of Yamasa before the show went live too. We are talking about the Davidoff Yamasa, and Henke said he wanted to grow tobacco in this region, and everyone told him it was crazy. It was that it couldn't be done, and then voila, it's probably one of the most dynamic blends in his portfolio. in terms of, original flavor and originality and complexity. So I think, time and time again, this industry proves that the men and women of it persevere in a number of ways and find the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So
those are both like excellent examples of kind of overcoming those naysayers. Mind you, it took a long time to get to where they wanted to be.
yeah,
He didn't just go to the Yamasou region and put seeds in the ground, and then all of a sudden this beautiful plant and these fantastic leaves come out, and there's Yamasou. I mean, it was years and years and years of playing with and trying to figure out how to make that happen. The same thing with Carlito. He went through years and years and years trying to figure out how to get wrapper leaf in the DR. But when they persevered because of their passion for this leaf, now you have these amazing products. So it's a testament to both of those people, actually.
100%, 100%. So, Jason, we're sitting here talking tonight about some fantastic cigars, and you're no stranger to smoking cigars for a length of time, both in quantity and in quality, because you are a former National Cigar Smoking Champion and a participant in the World Cigar Smoking Championships. Now, you missed this past year, unfortunately, but are you planning a return to the World Cigar Smoking Championship?
I am planning a return. I think there are some satellite events here in the States that I'm going to participate in 2020, as well as try to make my way back to Split. So I'm super excited about that and can't wait. Now, the thing is this is now the third iteration of a cigar being used. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but when the CSWC was first founded, they used Cuban cigars.
Mm-hmm.
So Amani, number 4, Marieva. It then graduated to the Macanudo, the Inspirado, the orange, in the same format. And now Rocky Patel has thrown his hat in the ring, and he's the new sponsor for the CSWC.
Oh, wow.
I haven't even seen the cigar that they're going to be using for future CSWC events and for the World Championship this year.
I was about to say, I'm sure there are. I just can't recall that exact format in a Rocky blend.
Yeah,
I'm tripping up on it. Like,
they don't have that blend available in the States in the Macanudo Orange either.
that's a good point.
It was only a Vitola that was offered in Europe. So talk about a hard ask to try to get some of the guys from STG or General Cigar to give me some cigars that I could practice on, because it's something that you need to kind of work on diligently, and you don't want to just show up and say, all right, I'm here to see how long I can smoke this cigar. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hitting up my Rocky guys to get us some cigars that we can try to test through and try to figure out how long we can push the limits of that tobacco.
Man, you got to wonder if some records are going to be broken, because Rocky Patel cigars are notoriously slow burners a lot of times. I mean, depending on the blend, from blend to blend, it could change. But for a lot of, if you wanted to generalize a little bit, they are slow burners. So man, that could lead to some record times, just demolishing old records and stuff. But
Right. Or it could not, or it could, depending on the tobaccos and the blend.
Right.
Maybe the records of past are going to be set in stone, because this new cigar, you can't push the limits of the tobacco for fear of it going out on you, because once it goes out, you have to stand up and you're out of the game.
So you just mentioned one of the rules in this. So for the people who are listening and watching who haven't heard about the World Cigar Smoking Championships, what is it exactly? Does it work by invite? Like, how does one participate in it? And then, like, what are some of let's go through the rule book a little bit. I know, because it's a short but distinguished list of rules.
So it's not necessarily by invite, but you want to participate via a qualifier. So there'll be qualifiers throughout the year leading up to the grand finale to the Cigar Smoking World Championships. So in 2015, I won the first CSWC event held in the U.S. In Nashville. That time actually projected me to number 4 in the world. So that was a huge boost to what I was doing at the time. I was in 5 or 6 worldwide publications within a week, talking about how I won the competition, and I was actually representing a brand called Crossfire at the time, and I was national sales and brand manager, basically the face of the company. Not the owner, but I was the face of the company, going into shops, selling to retailers and stuff like that. So that was huge too, because that was tagged along with that win. So it did nothing but help me in what I was doing. But as far as going into the rules and stuff, the rules are really basic. You're taking a small cigar and you're trying to push the limits of that tobacco as far as you possibly can by keeping it lit the entire time and smoking it until you get to the band, which is fixed at 9 millimeters, right? So everybody sits. I'll paint the picture, like I'm an artist, so I'll paint the picture for you, Bear. And I'll paint the picture for everybody that's either watching or is going to listen to this on a podcast or whatever later. Everybody sits down. It's black tie affair. Everybody sits down. In front of you is a guillotine cutter and a box of 2 matches. Those 2 matches are what you are going to use to light your tool of choice.
Right. Not 2 boxes of matches, a box of 2 matches.
Box of 2. And everybody has the same thing. There's no, you don't bring your lighter, you don't bring your matches, you don't bring your cutter. Everybody uses the same utensils for their cigar. They give you 60 seconds to cut your cigar. They give you 60 seconds to take those 2 matches and light your cigar. It doesn't sound like a hard deal. Like, how many times have you used a match to light your cigar, Bear? It's never been like a trial or tribulation. You never thought anything about it.
Right.
Here's a match, I'll light my cigar. And maybe you had a torch with you and you're like, you know what, I didn't maybe get it. I'll touch it up a little bit. When you're in a competitive atmosphere, taking those 2 matches is a little bit different ordeal. Everybody's lighting at the same time. You have that 60-second time span, and you have to get everything fully lit, because once that 60 seconds is done, that is it. It's not, oh, I only used 1 of my matches to light it, now I can use the second one an hour later. No. Matches go away, cutter goes away. Now it's time to basically concentrate and make sure that your cigar is lit, and you're pushing those tobaccos as far as you possibly can for as long as you possibly can.
And there's a limitation on the ash, right? So I think it's you're about to tell me, but there's an hour. There's a time frame in which the ash cannot fall. Correct?
There is. Okay. You're good. You're good. First 5 minutes you can't talk. There's no talking. It's actually, I believe, a great rule. Because it sets the tone for the competition. Like, hey, we're not effing around. We're here for business. We're going to try to do as good as we possibly can. Sounds silly, but it sets the tone. The first 40 minutes, you're not allowed to ash your cigar. If you do, there are penalty minutes that would be deducted from your total score. So if you ashed at 10 minutes in, it's a significant penalty versus if you ashed at like 38, 39 minutes. You're talking like a minute or 2 at that time. At 10 minutes in, you might as well get up and leave, because it's over. They're going to hit you with like 40-minute penalty or whatever. So yes, there's a time frame in which you need to keep that ash. But to be truthfully honest, the ash helps you. The ash acts as an insulator and keeps the foot of the cigar warm. So it's actually to benefit you. So if you are hitting the ash off at that early, chances are you're not going to be in the competition much longer anyways.
Yeah, I remember that. when we first talked, when you and I first talked about this, I had the privilege of learning a little bit more about this competition. It was an interview that, you know, Coop and I did, and Coop and I actually participated in this exercise trying to mimic the, you know, we did the rules. We had a cutter. We had the same cigar. No, that's not true. We had the correct Vitola because we couldn't get the same cigar, but we had the correct Vitola. Both of us did. So same gauge and length and everything. And then we both used a match. I lit it on the first match, which was good. And it's hard. It's incredibly hard. And I mean, I thought I was smoking incredibly diligently and very purposeful, trying to maintain a conversation because we were on a podcast and everything. But I thought I was being very deliberate. I was watching my watch, making sure to puff at certain times. And I was just blazing through my cigar, and Coop ended up beating me, I think, by like 7 minutes or something like that. But it was, man, it's hard. I mean, I think I got I got in just under 40 minutes. I mean, so, which begs the question, it's like, okay, 40 minutes, he kept the cigar lit without, you know, it going out. It's not terrible. But
Right.
what what is your best time, just to give people a
But
reference?
competition, my best time was the 1 hour and 58 minutes and 2 seconds, which is just shade under 2 hours of pushing that Marieva, which 5 1/8 by 42 ring gauge. That's a small cigar. It should last you 30 minutes, should last you 40 minutes if you're smoking it and enjoying it. It's not a cigar that you're trying to push for 2 or even more hours. So yeah, it's very, very difficult. There's also some other things like when you're lighting it, as most of us do, a lot of us do, I shouldn't say most, a lot of us do, you expel back at the foot of the cigar to make sure that it's lit, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. You can't do that in the competition. You can't expel out through the cigar. You can't gas it. And I mean, how many times do you do that while you're smoking a cigar, right?
Yeah, especially when you're trying to make sure you don't have to relight it. You kind
Right.
of push through it. Yeah. So
So you have to consciously know that you can't gas through the cigar. So that's another thing. There's judges walking around too, and they'll call you on it.
that's crazy, man. That's, I just think that I would, I mean, it would take that. I mean, that kind of concentration. Everything has to be deliberate and everything. Now, you shared with me a really cool video clip. I mean, you had this cigar down to, I mean, what many people would consider the nub. I mean, at the point where, you know what, I'm just putting the cigar down, but yet you were trying to get the last few seconds out of it, so to speak. But there was just a very faint hint of a cherry, and you were able to bring it back for just a few more puffs.
Right.
I mean, what, like, when I mean, you're into this at this point. I mean, you're almost at the 2 hour mark. You've been sitting there, you know, really focused. I mean, really keeping the concentration level high. And you get to that point and it's about to go out and you're like, I mean, what's going through your head at that point? I mean, are you
And it's just like I mean, I don't want to equate it to being an athlete because it has nothing to do with athletics. But it is in that era as far as being in the zone, because you are so involved in trying to push this tobacco. And second place was out 30 minutes before I won. So the video that I sent you was the last like 2.5 minutes, and it was kind of cool because you're hearing two people that I have no idea who they are. They have no idea who I am, and they're having a conversation about this contest and about how American is representing and blah blah. Like it's actually pretty neat to hear that conversation that transpired while I'm basically getting it down to the nub. But speaking of the nub, the last portion of the contest, and I took my band off, but if you can visualize that a band is fixed at 9 millimeters up from the head of the cigar, that's the final portion of it. You're not smoking it down to your lips hurt, or you have a roach clip or something like that, or you have no tobacco left. You're smoking it down to the band. So there's some strategy involved. If you ignite the band, it's a 15-minute penalty. So if you brown the band, like and you're winning, but there's another, maybe there's somebody else that's really close to you, and you ignite the band. Oh, you just made that guy win because you just went to second place as 15-minute penalty. I mean, it's there's a lot of strategy, and I know a lot of people maybe have thought, it might be silly, but it's pretty difficult to pull off.
I got to say that one thing that exercise did when we first met, Jason, did for me is I've worked in retail for over a decade now, and one of the byproducts of the occupation is that you're constantly moving around. You're stocking shelves, you're talking to customers, and the last thing that you want to do is dirty your entire shop with a bunch of ash on the floor because you're just smoking and being careless with it. So you're constantly you're performing the antithesis of what you described to people, like, hey, hold on to that ash for the same reasons. It acts as a filter. It acts as a, it really helps the performance of the flavor in the cigar. So hold on to the ash as long as possible.
Right.
And so you're countering that when you're working in retail, and you're as active as I and some of the tobacconists I work with are. But what that exercise did, Jason, when we first met, was it really reinvigorated me for me to slow down every once in a while and just let the cigar go, in terms of just letting that ash build up like I have right now, and just enjoying the cigar for what it was truly meant to be. I think that's
and that's just that. Look at the construction of that cigar. It's perfect.
It's gorgeous, man. And the flavors, it's lost some of that typical LaFleur bite.
Right.
The 94 was never an especially strong cigar to begin with. It's not like a double Ajero or anything like that, or the the NAS or Chesolito or anything, but it's really got really nice richness to it. That bite's almost gone, and it's drawing beautifully, but it's incredibly rich. I know I keep using that word over and over again, but it really is. It's very decadent, and it's performing incredibly well. I'm loving this. So, what about your cigar? How's it doing?
It never disappoints. I'll say that. Never disappoints. Just super complex, and it's pairing nicely with the wine, and I'm just loving every bit of it. The real deep, rich notes, but the super clean smoke. Like, what I mean by super clean is you don't feel like you have to scrape your tongue, after you get done smoking the cigar. The smoke is thick and voluminous, but it's not. It doesn't coat your palate. So it's just I'm really enjoying this stick.
So we talked about it before the show. You just mentioned the wine. So why don't you tell our audience what you're drinking tonight, and pairing with that gorgeous Opus X?
Just a little Chateau de Pop, 2012. It's a Rhone, and it's just as good as a cigar. And I know enough about wine to be dangerous. I'm always trying to pick the brains of. We have two wine buyers with Liquor Barn, and I'm always trying to pick their brain and ask them questions. To them, it probably seems stupid. It's probably just another question that somebody would ask me about cigars, whatever, that I've probably answered a million times. But they're great, and they always turn me on to some great wines, and this is one of them. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this.
I'm drinking 1792 Ridgemont Reserve bourbon from your beloved home state, Kentucky, and I am representing tonight too from a little something I picked up from the Louisville Slugger Museum and factory. It's actually a working factory for Louisville Slugger in the city of Louisville. That's not too far from your office.
It's right through from the office. Yeah.
The Giant Bat, just an amazing museum. I recommend it to anyone who's a baseball fan, or just a fun experience. Even if you're not, I think if you just go there, with kids, or if you're just a big old kid like me, you'll just absolutely really enjoy it. It was an amazing time, and really enjoyed my time there. So
you got your little souvenir, right? The little bat.
Yeah, I got that for my son. He loves that thing.
How many
So,
times did he cracked you in the shin with it?
um, just once, technically twice, his first and last time. Um, um, oh, but yeah, that hurt is about as much as you can expect. So, but I'm excited to go back to Louisville, go again, and pick up another one for my son that we're waiting on. So it's a great place. You know, you call Louisville home, Jason, and you do some incredible work with Liquor Barn, and you put together some amazing events as well. And one of the events that you guys have done quite a bit of work with is you work quite a bit with Churchill Downs, which is, of course, the home to the greatest minute in sports, the Kentucky Derby, as well as many other races. They've had a Breeders' Cup there as well. And the Breeders' Cup is coming up, too. So it's not in Churchill Downs this year. It's in Santa Anita. But
Let's talk about that. All
okay.
right. With all of the things that have happened at Santa Anita since this, what is it, December like 26th, let's just say, with all of the horses and all of the trouble that track has endured, the senators that were trying to close that track down, the regulations and things that stem from that, why would somebody that all they own is a brand maintain going there where if a horse goes down in those 2 days, which is a high probability that it could, it's going to be a huge media circus.
It really is, man. They're making this. They're actually making the story a lot bigger than. I mean, it's a huge story. Don't get me wrong, and I don't want to make light of it by any stretch, but they're making it a bigger story by continuing just to do it. I mean, this should have been called off, a while ago until they could have figured out what the heck was going on with it. You know, Santa Anita it's an historic track. I mean, there have been many historic races that have occurred there. And I mean, going back all the way to the times of Seabiscuit, War Admiral, I mean, just incredible venue for horse racing. It holds nothing to, Churchill Downs. And I know I'm biased, and I know you are as well, but to that same point, there's the Belmont, there's the Preakness, um,
Well, the
these,
only track that's large enough that could facilitate a quick turnaround
yeah,
is the Downs.
it's the Downs. Exactly. I mean,
there was talks of them pulling from Santa Anita and just doing it in Downs in subsequent years. And 2020 is at Keeneland, which is in Lexington. So it was not going to be like a big task or a tall order to just switch plans. And I think it boils down to some political things and maybe that the international contingency that probably had already made plans to go to California. But still, I just, all they own is a brand. They don't own a track. All they own is a brand. It's a traveling. It's like the Super Bowl. It's like if one of these stadiums that the Super Bowl was gonna had something like a roof collapsed and there was like a sketchy
that already happened, but yeah.
not with the Super Bowl happening that year though. It's like this is their Super Bowl. The Breeders' Cup is horse racing Super Bowl, and if something happens by way of a horse going down, it's going to be a mess, a huge mess. So yeah, I was really hoping that it was going to come back to Churchill this year for my own selfish reasons.
Exactly.
I was hoping it would come back to Churchill Downs.
They need to figure that out, man. It's just a horrible tragedy what's going on in Santa Anita, and hopefully they can and they get a turnaround. And maybe this is the start of that. I guess if we want to make lemonade out of lemons a little bit. Have you been to Santa Anita or Pimlico?
I've not been to Santa Anita. As far as horse racing goes, Keeneland and Churchill are relatively close. I mean, I'm 12 minutes from Churchill Downs, and I'm like 70 miles away from Keeneland. So obviously the proximity of those racetracks, and I've gone to some lesser tracks that don't even need to be mentioned. but that was on a college budget, you know. So that was a long time ago. But I haven't been to any of the bigger track, you know, like Pinnacle or Belmont or anything like that. I would love to, and you know, if they needed somebody to take care of their cigar, you know, activation, I would love an opportunity to do that as well.
The plan is for me and my best friend, who's also my son's godfather. We're going to go to the 150th running of the Derby. That's the plan, and yeah, we're excited about it. We've been planning it for years.
Was that 4 years, right?
Yeah, we wanted some time, you know, for at least our eldest kids to, you know, somewhat enjoy it, you know, and recognize that it's an experience and that it's, you know, that it's important and it's
Right.
something that they'll never see again in their lives. So,
Yeah.
but you mentioned the word activation. I said event. Talk a little bit about the work that you have done, particularly this past year at the Kentucky Derby. For people who don't know, this is an entire week's worth of festivities. The famed Kentucky Oaks, which is I think is still one of the best races in the racing world. Kind of gets, you know, for obvious reasons, gets the runner-up card to the Derby, which happens the following day.
Right.
But talk a little bit about the work that you've done at the Downs and how that's come to be and your experience about it.
Yeah, well, Derby week or Derby to me means something much different than your average person, because the planning and prep work for Derby for me starts months in advance, by getting with cigar manufacturers that are partners of ours and buying the right cigars to have at our tents, from getting those reps that actually represent those brands to ensure that they're going to be on town and helping us activate on site, hiring the hawker girls that we have walking around with the old school, like the cigarette tray, if you want to call it, filled with cigars and accessories, cutters, lighters, and some cigarettes, of course, because we are in Kentucky. I mean, come on, the cigarettes are being smoked just like anywhere else. But yeah, the prep work is months in advance. But that week, so Derby week starts for me the Saturday before Derby, which there's an opening night, and that is the kickoff for me. So I have 3 tents that I have activated at Churchill Downs, and we're selling cigars. That first night, it's a nice little pop. It's pretty crowded, by no means Derby standards. And then it teeters down a little bit because people have to work. And then as the week increases, it's just more and more people, more and more sales. And then Oaks Day, like Thursday, which is Derby, which is now the new local thing, because Oaks Day used to be the local horse event. That used to not be known to the masses, but now Oaks Day is known to the masses. A lot of people come in for both Oaks and Derby. So Derby, that Thursday, became the Louisville local, let's go to the track and hang out and bet and have our mint julep, and we'll have our parties at our home or whatever on Friday and Saturday. But yeah, Derby is like the dress rehearsal for the craziest cigar event for non-smoking cigar enthusiasts. And what I mean by that is the people that are coming to buy cigars from us aren't cigar smokers.
When in Rome, right? So kind of thing.
When in Rome is exactly right. Everybody knows about the hats. You know, the women have these exorbitant hats, and everybody's dressed to the nines. They have the mint julep in one hand, and the cigar has become an accessory. I don't know how many times I saw a third of a cigar smoke that was laying in a bin or whatever, a trash can, which is a shame that they spent that much money on a premium cigar and didn't enjoy the full breadth of it. But yeah, it's become a part of that accessory. So literally, the people that I'm selling to smoke once a year, and it's at Oaks and Derby.
That's
And it's
awesome.
crazy. It's crazy. I have 160,000 people at the track on Derby Day that I have full run to sell them whatever kind of cigar that I can. And it's 30 and 40 people deep in lines, and I have tents that are 20 feet in length, and 3 display cabinets, and I'll have 4 or 5 people working those, and it's 30 and 40 deep. It's the craziest event. Now, are there bigger like events that happen like at cigar stores or lounges or something? Like Holtz does a huge event, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have that when people are like lined up around the block, but they're all cigar smokers. Literally, I can sell somebody that walks up to the display cabinet to our tent, them on anything. They're like, hey, I smoke once a year. Oh, that's great. Let's smoke an Oliva, Connecticut Reserve. Oh, what? Tell me about it. Oh, it's an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. It's Nicaraguan binary filler. It's creamy. It has a little bit of nut. And they're like, all right, sold. Give me 4 of them because I'm gonna buy some for my buddies, whatever. All day long, and it's all cash. So it's like I'm cutting and lighting. I'm handing cash. I'm getting change, and that all day long. And I know you work at Michael's, right? So, and you have events, and I assume you have some great events, but you've never been a part of an event that is just so chaotic. And at the end of on that Saturday night, I want somebody to like wheel me out for 18 hours a day for 8 days straight, and I'm spent.
That sounds like, I mean, that's definitely marathon, not a sprint, man, for sure. The thing that's kind of exciting to me from that perspective is like this, that could be the defining moment that does make someone a cigar smoker, and it could be, that even in this chaos and, all this just recklessness and everything, you can't connect the way that you do in your humidor in the store, but it might, that if you have that one moment with that one customer, even in that amidst that chaos, you might actually bring someone into the fold, so to speak.
Right.
It's still kind of exciting. That would be like the ultimate like story of like, like, hey, when did you start smoking cigars? Well, so random story, I was at the Kentucky Derby, and guy named Jason just handed me this cigar, and I was in love with it for the rest of my life. That could be the start for many of the people that you've served at the Derby. So that's pretty exciting. So is the Downs always smoker friendly, or just during that week? Oh, okay.
It's always smoker friendly. Basically, what we tell them is anywhere you can see the sky. So if you're on the balconies, if you're in the open grandstands, anywhere you can see the sky, you can smoke a cigar. Paddock area, wherever. The only place you cannot is actually in a suite, which is fine because those suites have balconies. You can go out and have your cigar out there. Which I would love to get a picture in the heat of Derby Day from the other side to see all of the smoke clouds just coming across the grandstands. I think that would be lit. I think that would be awesome.
It's pretty sweet. So like, just to give us an idea. So you like 160,000 people attend Derby Day.
Yeah.
Just on Derby Day, just to kind of paint in perspective, like how many cigars are you selling?
Like throughout the entire week, I think we sold like something like 10,000, like 11,000 cigars.
Gosh. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. Like I'll have 25 to 30 girls walking around in the grandstand suites, Turf Club, wherever, Millionaires Row, Sky Terrace. Those are things that people watching this will be able to, assimilate with and recognize those names. They're in the infield. I have 3 tents that I activate in the infield. So all the craziness that's going on there. And you, my friend, I think it's great that you're going to take your son to the 150th. But you have to experience for yourself both the sweet side, where everybody's dressed to the nines and having their cigar and their beverage, but you also have to experience the infield because it's unlike anything that you've ever seen in your life. It's quite crazy.
Well, I'll have at least 2 kids at that time, so I'll be on a budget. So I will definitely be an infield guy. Which is an experience in itself, like you said. It's exciting. It's a party, man. I mean, they have concerts that go on in the in between races. You get to see all this. Like everyone, I get a lot of criticism from people who don't appreciate horse racing. I get a lot of criticism from people to me like, dude, why do you watch horse racing? That's just ridiculous. You sit around all day on Saturday on Derby Day, and you wait for this one race to occur. I'm like, I'm not waiting for that one race to occur. I'm watching other races, man. It's about the pageantry, man, and tradition, and it is one of my favorite. And I'm a big baseball guy, as you know. I absolutely am in love with Derby Day. It's one of my favorite, if not my favorite day of the year. It is an experience that I enjoy every single year. I look forward to. I count down to it, and it's just something I've just really really enjoyed. So it's really cool that you're a part of it in that way. Um, Hopefully you guys will still be doing it here at the 150th here in a couple of years, and I get to share a moment with you. It'll be brief because you'll be doing crazy stuff, but I'll be like, Jason, cigar. All right, cool, we're good.
It is funny that even through the chaos, sometimes I'm able to kind of slip out. I've kind of gotten a reputation at the track that the people that work there, they come in to see my outfits and take pictures of, the shoes or whatever thing that I have going on that day. So that's kind of fun. And then, for the local media, we'll pop in a tent or two and try to grab some coverage. I know the first year that we did it, which was not this year, but the year before, I had a great like 60 maybe a minute and a half spot, and it was on the largest 4K TV in the world. Well, maybe they probably changed that. Somebody probably built a bigger one, but it was on that as well as on the news. It was pretty funny. It was super good. They're like, "Hey, can we get an interview?" And I was like, "Yeah." 30 people deep in line, and I was like, "Yeah." And before I could say like in a minute, he was like, "All right, come on!" And like TV crew like pops in this tent, and there's not a lot of room, especially when we have big guys like Sean Williams and they're slinging sticks. I mean, he's quite a big man, and he takes up a little bit of room. So we were in there pretty snug when we were doing that interview.
Oh,
It's
man,
all fun. It's all fun. It's hectic. It's chaotic. It's stressful for me because everything falls on me from when we get there to when we leave. And but I wouldn't change it. I mean, it's definitely something that I've learned from. And from the first year to the second year, from our first Derby to Breeders' Cup, which was last year at Churchill Downs, I learned a tremendous amount and applied it to Breeders' Cup, and made processes and operations a lot smoother. And then even learned some things at Breeders' Cup that I applied to this year's Derby. And man, we killed it. We killed it this year. And it rained. It rained both Oaks and Derby this year. And we crushed last year's numbers by a significant margin.
That's just crazy. Getting bigger and bigger every year, man. By the time I get there, I'll be 175,000 people. It's going to be nuts.
One can hope.
So, we've talking about your neck of the woods quite a bit tonight, in Kentucky, and one of the neighboring states is Ohio. And the city of Dayton is a city that's not too far from you. It's pretty much your backyard. It's about 3 hours away from where you call home and everything.
Yeah.
And we talked a little about this a little bit before the show, and I wanted to get your take on it simply because it does kind of, not to use the turnabout phrase, but it does kind of hit close to home. Considering how passionate you are about the cigars and cigar community, what we've talked about tonight, and the ambassadorship that you provide to an event like, the Derby, and you're serving thousands of people and getting them excited and enjoying the moment with a fine cigar. And of course, this was a few months ago, that a couple months back, the city of Dayton, Ohio, put into plan and effect that all city employees, so everyone employed by the city, is not allowed to use tobacco products. So that's cigarettes, that's dip, that's vape, that's cigars, that's that's snuff, everything that you can imagine, any tobacco related product whatsoever, you are not allowed to use. So how it works is they don't do random testing. This isn't the NFL or Major League Baseball or the NBA. They're not doing random tests on you. You test once at the very beginning, either when they initiated the protocol, or or when you're hired. And if you fail, you're immediately fired.
Right.
And then the ongoing execution of this law is that they don't do random testing, but if they receive a credible tip, essentially, and you are caught using it, and you cannot refuse a test, and if you refuse a test, you're fired, and if you take the test and you pop positive, you're fired immediately. I mean, those are some grave implications for people in general. When I refresh your memory about it, Jason, how does it make you feel as a resident of the general area, but just as a cigar enthusiast in general?
I think it's completely egregious. I mean, it's first of all, how are they testing that you're using a tobacco product? Like, they can't piss test for that, right? I mean, it's got to be some kind of is it a blood test that they can see like traces of nicotine, or how does that work?
I wasn't sure on the execution of it. I think that they probably would test blood and urine. That would probably be my best guess on it. But I'm not 100% sure. The thing that I think is probably, I think egregious is the word. Definitely. I just have so many. I have so many problems with it in general. My connection to the cigar industry, notwithstanding, I just have a problem in general with a public entity. Okay, this isn't a private corporation.
Right.
We're not talking about Apple saying no tobacco apps are allowed on iPhones.
Right.
We're not saying that Facebook is, for all the shit that Facebook caught for, banning a lot of tobacco and other industry groups as well. So we weren't like the only ones that were targeted. But for all the flack that they're a private company, they can do what they want.
Right.
This is America, but a public entity banning a legal product. Okay.
Right.
This isn't drug testing.
Right.
I took a drug test when I was employed at my job. I'm sure you've taken some at some jobs you've held, Jason. I mean, that's kind of standard, and that's illegal stuff, though. That's illegal. This is a legal product that they're saying you can't partake in, and that's probably my biggest problem. But my second biggest problem with this, and this is where my partner Coop and I disagree, because Coop thinks that the law should always be equal across the board. And I don't think necessarily some people should get an exemption, but I think it's problematic when you have city employees who are first responders, police, firemen, emergency crew, paramedics. Not to say that city councilmen and, DPS and child protective services, that they don't lead stressful lives. They do, and they do hard work. And I'm not trying to disparage the work that they do as non-stressful. But if you have a job, where you're saving lives on a daily and weekly basis and everything, and you have that responsibility hanging over you, and you can't unwind, relax, decompress with a legal product,
Right.
that to me is just inherently evil. Not to be over dramatic, but I'll go ahead and say it. I think it's just unbelievably wrong. And man, it's only going to, other cities are going to catch on to this, man. I mean,
That's the sad thing about all of this, is that not to switch the subject, but we've seen the age go from 18 to 21 now, and it's kind of been this windfall. City or county after city or county after state are changing their legal consumption age from 18 to 21. Which, again, it was one area that started it, and then everybody else kind of fell in line behind. And before we know it, it's going to be nationwide, where the legal tobacco age is 21. The thing that you're speaking of in Dayton is no different than if they were like, we're going to ban McDonald's. McDonald's is just as harmful to your health. Drinking, a super large, Dr. Pepper or whatever with a, triple cheese or whatever, double quarter pounder or whatever, is no more or no less harmful to your daily life than smoking this premium cigar. I know those are kind of like two opposite sides of the spectrum, but that's the kind of mindset where they're disallowing you from doing something like you stated, a legal product. You're buying it from a legal entity that sold it to you at a cigar retailer or whatever, and now you can't partake in that. Yeah, it blows my mind. But you are right. Somebody else is going to see that in another part of the country and be like, you know what? I think we need to institute that too. Not because they 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 want this oversight, but maybe somebody in their family passed away from lung cancer, so it strikes a nerve to them, so they want to try to protect, because I do believe there are some people that are trying to, for the better, try to protect people from having those kind of instances, but you can't take that choice away, considering that it is a legal product.
And that's a great point, Jason, except for to say that the fact is that like you said, there is a choice. And with you know, when you're in the dangerous game of politics and you are looking out for the public health, in what the argument that is struck and everything, you can't take a personal experience and apply it to the masses. Especially when, and this is something we're not to steamroll and get necessarily off subject with the FDA, but that's the problem with the FDA inherently, is that they don't understand the fundamental truth that not everything is created equal, not in the world of cigars. They see tobacco related products as all equal, and not only all equal in the sense of danger, which it isn't, but all equal in the sense of appeal, which it isn't as well. So they're saying that they're protecting children. That's the big thing. They always go back to kids. You know, children, proven by their own funded, study, do not smoke premium cigars. And the difference in production and manufacturing of a cigar is so different from the production of a can of dip or the making of a cigarette, even though cigars and cigarettes are both smoked. And vape, for example, that's quote unquote smoked, right? I guess I'm not even sure what vaping really is. But but I think that that is the problem with the people who are making these decisions, is the rampant ignorance that they subscribe to because of the inherent common denominator, which is the tobacco leaf. And I think that the taking away of a legal choice is an ugly precedent. You said you didn't want to get off subject, and you're like, oh, this is a completely out of the realm of, outside the realm, mentioning soft drinks and fast food. But it's not that so far-fetched, because I mean, okay, so today it's tobacco, tomorrow it's going to be your glass of scotch, then it's going to be your Dr. Pepper, then it's going to be, they're going to find some study that, and there have been studies that beef is harmful, so red meat's out, you can't do that anymore. Then then chicken, I'm sure chicken's probably evil in some ways. I mean, there's always something. And it's interesting that I'm going to use a quote of his, considering of his political party affiliation. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt said that the only thing to fear is fear itself. And that's exactly what entities like the city of Dayton are playing into. They're playing into fear.
Right.
And you simply can't do that. And and not to be over dramatic, but survive. It's just not a way to govern, and it's not a way to live.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully that's not a way of doing business that will catch on. But as we've just kind of put some examples out there, people are followers. There's a lot of sheep out there. So there's bound to be another city, county that's going to change its regulations to do the same thing. And then somebody else is going to follow suit. And before we know it, it's going to be rampant. So the more education that we put out there, the more podcasts and things that we put this education, we talk about these things, in this political oversight, basically. Hopefully, these voices will be heard. Get some people on our side. We got great people lobbying for tobacco on Capitol Hill, but there's always going to be a fight with tobacco, always.
I think I think that you illustrated a great point there, and because people. I've searched for a good answer, and I think you actually finally just gave it to me, Jason. After all this time, I think that's very poignant.
Well, you're welcome. That's why I'm here, Bear. That's why I'm here.
Well, people ask me like, why do I do this? And I'm like, well, it's my passion. It's what I love. I really enjoy it. I love it, and I can name off, several things that I love about the cigar industry, because there's a lot to love about this industry.
Right.
But I think, I think you hit it. It's to educate and bring awareness to the amazing people that are in this industry, and the amazing, we've had some discussion about cigars. We've talked about cigar business today, but we've also had some fun talking about other stuff as well. And the truth of the matter is, and you and I have had some really fun banter over the last couple of years on social media. We've chatted about other things, and none of that would be possible without cigars.
Right.
It just wouldn't, and we go back to that a lot, that it's because of these, cigars that, great minds come together, friendships come together. It's the ultimate equalizer, we say all the time. It's an amazing thing. So as we're kind of wrapping up here, Jason, I've got one final question for you, but I do want to know how the cigar's finishing up for you.
Man, it's still a powerhouse. It's still just like the wood, the cedar in this is just super prominent. A lot of nice undertones with some spice. The retro it's pretty potent on this still, and it's super enjoyable, super easy to smoke. A little bit of resistance on the draw, just kind of like where I like it. Not too airy, but not trying to suck a golf ball through a hose kind of thing. So, I mean, the construction on it. Can you name somebody that does better construction? I mean, there's the top of the line, and they're at that pinnacle at that top. Carlito does a fantastic job, but you could name a slew of others that also are in that same class, let's just say. But yeah, never disappoints, not at all.
I'm really enjoying this 1994. It's getting the richness is still there, and as I've smoked the cigar, the spice has kind of ticked up a notch. But there's been a really nice addition, and I hesitate to say this because a lot of people find this tasting note a little off-putting, but there's a little bit of licorice that's kind of seeped in. That's just added it's just a hint.
Right.
It really provides some really nice balance, and I'm really enjoying this cigar. It's aged incredibly well. I'm really enjoying it a lot. So it's really well done by Lito. Obviously well done by Carlito on yours and everything. And the wine's still doing well for you?
Yeah, it's darn near almost gone.
I was gonna say, how much of that bottle's left?
But no, it's very nice. So, and just, it's not one is overbearing and dissolves the other one. That they're both playing with one another. It's like a good game. Hey, you're a baseball guy, you'll get this. It's a good game of catch right here, right? They don't mimic one another. They don't overpower one another. They just play nice together. And yeah, so it's a really nice pairing. I should write this down, because this is something that I'll need to experience in the future.
Awesome. And you talk about playing nice with one another, and I do want to mention another great example of cigars being the great equalizer. So as many of our listener base knows, I'm a avid and passionate Green Bay Packers fan, and my friend Jason here is a loyal fan to the Chicago Bears. So if we can play nice together, surely Republicans and Democrats and cigar smokers and smokers and non-smokers alike can play nice together. So surely
Yeah,
that's possible.
my Bears. I mean, I really thought we had something this year, and well, today's loss was evident. But to be truthfully honest, bringing on Mac was a huge boost to our defense. And they always say defense wins championships. Unfortunately, you still have to put points on the board, and you can't rely on your defense to do that every game. I still love my Bears. I mean, to be truthfully honest, I'm from Wisconsin. I should be a Packers fan, but I'm from a part in Wisconsin that is literally so close to Chicago. It's virtually like a northern suburb of Chicago, just on the wrong side of the border. And when I grew up, the Packers were not who they are today. All right, they didn't have your Favres, they didn't have your Aaron Rodgers. They had Magic Mike Majowski, which there was little magic from that man. When I grew up, it was the '85 Bears, the Super Bowl Shuffle, Walter Payton, Perry, Willie Gall, McMahon. I mean, Mike Singletary. You can name a ton.
Ditka.
I mean, Ditka. You don't even have to name Ditka. Everybody, their thought is already Ditka. But just that time frame of NFL, it was all about the Bears and their swag, like the way that they even approached the game, and they had the talent to back it up. And I really haven't had much to cheer for since, other than maybe Devin Hester running back a kickoff return in, what was that, 2006? They made the Super Bowl.
2005
against the Colts, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's tough being a Bears fan these days. It would be easier to be a Packers fan. My dad's a Packers fan. And he always calls me when the Packers beat the Bears, which is becoming more frequent these days. It is what it is.
I think you guys are maybe not this season, but I think you guys are pretty close to figuring out. Unfortunately for the Packers, but I think that defense is strong, and I think that will prove as the foundation. They got to put some pieces around Trubisky, and I think you guys will actually turn a nice page in the history of your franchise. So sunny times may be here again soon. Unfortunately for me. Yeah, it is a very tough division. I argue it's probably one of the hardest each year than any other, for sure. I'm blessed to be a fan in two major sports in America, in baseball and football, where division play is hard fought and always competitive each and every year. So it's exciting to watch and everything. But Jason, I really appreciate your time this evening. Before we wrap it up, I did want to throw my curveball question out at you. And so you mentioned earlier when you've hosted these events at the Derby and people, you've garnered this reputation for your shoes and your outfits, and you're kind of known as a snazzy dresser. And I've often commented on you and Michael Herklotz's posts.
I'm no Michael Herklotz by any means. I have a different kind of swag to what I bring to the table. Michael's more. He looks more of like an investment banker that is in the cigar industry. He's tight though. I mean, he's got his swag and his style is on lock, and he looks good doing what he does. But that's mine is not in that same kind of realm. Let's just say I have a different kind of swag that I bring to the table.
So with your swag, that begs the question, Jason. There are a lot of great dressers in this industry, but there are some that are, let's just say, on the polar opposite end of that spectrum. And so my question to you is, as snazzy of a dresser as you are, if you could make over anyone's wardrobe inside the cigar industry, who would it be?
Well, I mean, I'm probably going to get a message if he's not listening to it right now. There's two people, and both of them may be listening now, but I guarantee both of them will listen. So I guarantee I'll probably get messages from both of them. One of them would be my very, very good friend and national sales director of Crowned Heads, Miguel Chadel.
Miguel's watching tonight, so he is watching.
He can bring it when he wants to, and he's probably, if he's on the messaging board or whatever, he's probably going to bring up the canary pants that I told him about, because he had his IPCPR back when it was IPCPR, probably like 4 years ago maybe, and he had this sharp jacket, and it was clean. And I told him, I was like, man, some canary yellow pants with that would be sick. Like you'd be slaying the game. And like forever, like that's one of the things that he remembers is me telling him that he needed to rock some canary pants with this jacket. So I'd like to go in there and kind of tweak some of the things that Miguel does. On the opposite side of that spectrum, and again, another person that I'll probably receive a message very shortly from will be Skip Martin. We got to do something more than a t-shirt and jeans. Come on, bro. This is a stylish industry, man. Come on, let's bring something more to the table.
Don't forget the flip flops; they're iconic. You know.
Yeah.
The short sleeve T-shirt for sure. So
we can help Skip out. We can help him out.
What would be the first part of that outfit that you would tackle on Skip?
There's so much. I get him a jacket. We get him some jackets, some stylish, snazzy, some jackets, because I don't believe I've ever seen Skip in anything but a t-shirt and jeans.
I would agree. I don't think I've ever seen him out of quote unquote uniform, which is the t-shirt, jeans, and flip flops. I don't think I've ever seen him wear a pair of shoes. Yeah, I'd say that. I would say that's pretty accurate. So I wonder if he even owns a jacket.
I don't know.
That's crazy. He probably rolls up to a wedding and a funeral in the same outfit too. He's got enough braggadocious to do that about him.
I think the first thing I'd switch on Miguel would be give him a hat. You know, Miguel always has those sharp looking Crowned Heads hats. Let's get him like some wide brim fedora hat to rock at the show. Like that'd be legit. Like,
oh man, he could totally pull that off, man. Like you said, he can turn it on, man. He's looked really sharp at the last couple IPCPRs, and I've seen some of his other outfits, and man, yeah, he's a sharp dresser when he wants to be. So that one actually surprised me when you said that. I was like, man, he dresses pretty good.
Well, when we went to the booth, there's like 3 guys in the booth that had the same jacket on. I was like, would y'all go shopping together? Like Macy's have a discount sale or something? Like, but I love that guy. He's a tremendous guy, and I'm forever thankful for his friendship and some of the insight that he's provided to me over the years, and words of encouragement and advice. So yeah, just having fun, busting each other's balls. But yeah, he's a tremendous guy.
Both of them have been guests on this show, and I you know, maybe not after tonight as we poke fun at them a little bit, but they're two of my favorite people in this industry, and getting to know you over the last couple of years, Jason, has been a real pleasure as well. I think that I think what you've done in this industry, what you've brought, and what you continue to bring on a daily basis is something that you're not a face of a brand anymore. You're not one of these cigar celebrities, quote unquote, but I think you are, but maybe you're not one of the more well-known ones, but I think what you've done for this industry is is vastly underrated in what you continue to do on a daily basis. So I truly appreciate everything that you do. I truly appreciate your friendship, and thank you for coming on the show. It's been so much fun talking with you about all these variety of subjects. And I wish you nothing but the best of luck in 2020 as you go for another World's Smoking Championship, man. It's going to be exciting to watch.
See what happens, but you know, there's a lot of things on the horizon. Who knows? Maybe we'll make some changes, and maybe one day I will be a brand. That's where the pinnacle for me obviously would be to have my own brand. But you know, the FDA kind of inhibits those kind of things from occurring now. But I just try to do what we can, and you know, show people what we do, why we're passionate about tobacco and cigars, and what it does to a gathering of like-minded individuals. I've said this a bunch, that if you have 50 strangers that are in a room, the conversations are dull and uninteresting, and you leave there with nothing gained or learned. However, if you gave those 50 people a cigar, you now have 49 friends, right? So I'll leave you with that tidbit. Think about that. There. This show, I have a lot to live up to because of last year's recap with you and Coop, and being in the top 5 of the shows that you all did. I have a lot to live up to in this show. So I hope that we've lived up to those kind of acclamations.
Well, I absolutely think you have, and it's been a wonderful evening, and I do appreciate your time. I do appreciate all my guests taking time on a Sunday evening, late Sunday evening in some cases on the East Coast. This is a day that most people reserve for family, and for people to set aside some time to talk with me and share with our audience their perspectives and their stories. It's really great. And in spirit of the Cigar Smoking Championships, my cigar did just go out, so I suppose that signals the time to stand up in the end of the evening. But I do appreciate again your time, Jason. It's been a fantastic evening. For everyone out there, we really appreciate you guys tuning in and staying with us tonight. It has been a fantastic show, fantastic evening. Coop is desperately holding on for the last hour and 9 minutes that my wife has to give birth, so that my son and his son can share the same birthday. It more than likely, again, it's called the miracle of birth. So I mean, there still is a window, obviously, but do want to thank everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all your likes, shares, comments. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and I hear if you actually unsubscribe and then resubscribe, it actually bolsters my numbers. So do that too, if you feel so obliged. But don't forget to resubscribe, because then that just defeats the whole purpose. But again, thank you everyone out there. If you guys were tuning into tonight's show, it was sponsored by Drew Estate. And if you are catching us on a podcast later, wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, you're listening to us exclusively because of Cornelius and Anthony Premium Cigars. As always, I am your host. This was our 94th take. I've done 94 of these. It's awesome. Crazy.
It's fantastic.
And on the road to 100, it's just fantastic. As always, I'm your host, Barry DeFelici, live from Euless, Texas. This was our 94th take. Take 94 in the books. Guess what, everyone? We'll see you next time.